Youorns. Greetings, fellow Watford fans. Omar here, and it's time for the YouOrns 10-minute take on Coventry City 2, Watford 2. On this bank holiday Easter Monday in the United Kingdom, Watford had a chance to erase the painful memory of an appalling performance against Huddersfield in the second half of the game against them at Vicarage Road on Good Friday. And this chance at the CBS Arena was the chance for Watford to redeem themselves with a performance worthy of, well, a performance. And in the first half, it went that way. Watford got off to a flying start just 6 minutes in against a Coventry side also battling for the playoffs themselves against a Watford side they'd already beaten this season at Vicarage Road a few months ago. It was a 1-0 scoreline on that day, and Watford got a 1-0 scoreline just 6 minutes into this game at the CBS Arena. João Pedro scoring his 10th goal of the season for the Hornets to give Watford that 1-0 lead. And Watford pushed on from there. They looked good value for their lead, but Britt Asamoah in the 9th minute suffered a hamstring injury, and he had to come off. And Hector Arouge went in. I should say, Mr. Arouge went in and replaced him in the game. Watford were playing a 4-3-3 at the time. That really generally did not change so much. Watford's appetite didn't change either, as they put in a shift in the first half. They were so close to getting a second goal through Ismaila Sarr. In fact, also through João Pedro, could have doubled his tally and the advantage for Watford, but neither of those things materialized until around the 45th minute mark. And so for Watford, as Imran Louza got on the score sheet for the Hornets, his 4th goal of the season, to give Watford a 2-0 lead going into the break. And Watford looked lively and effervescent, committed to the game. The back line looked good. The goalkeeper looked good. Ryan Andrews looked good in his league debut for the Watford first team. And all was going according to plan. Even the first 5 minutes of the second half started the way the first half did, except without a goal. Watford kept pushing. Watford looked lively, looked like they were up for the fight. And then after that, in the 58th minute, one error from the goalkeeper, misjudging the flight of the ball. Ben Hamer in goal for the suspended Daniel Bachmann. And the ball, a really good shot, by the way, from a Coventry City player, Matt Godden, ended up finding its way into the back of the Watford net. And Ben Hamer's goalkeeping position was not good. He was far too far over to the opposite side of his goal. And he attempted to shepherd the ball out, stretching his hand out, hoping that the ball would go past him and past the goal, except it curled around him and into the goal. He completely misjudged the flight of that shot from Matt Godden. And that was the beginning of the Coventry comeback. And Watford did not have a plan B to counter. And that was the critical part of this game. A goalkeeping mistake can open up the floodgates, but it's not so much the goalkeeper's mistake that's the problem, because goalkeepers make mistakes, just like anyone else on the pitch does. And I'll talk about a mistake that was made by the referee later on. But anyone can make a mistake. It's how you react to that mistake, especially away from home. That is the very important factor. And Watford did not react well to the mistake that was made. They did not have a plan B to counteract the Coventry pressure that grew. This goal came very much against the run of play. And had Watford been able to counter that Coventry goal with either a goal of their own or a commitment to slowing down Coventry's momentum and messing up the game and making the game ugly, we could have had a Watford win here today. But as it stood, Watford were not able to do that. They did not have a plan B. They did not slow down the game. So many opponents at Vicarage Road come in and they're able to do what Watford failed to do today: mess up the game, slow down the tempo, frustrate the home side. And because Watford failed to do the very things that the away sides do at the Vic to them, this was a case of 2 points dropped. Watford, after that first goal, continued to play on the defensive, on the back foot. They continued to play to Coventry's rhythm rather than reestablishing their own. And that's what we've seen far too often this season. Watford's effort began to decline, I think, somewhat, although they still tried to go at it. They had several chances later on in this game. But the problem for me in this game was that Watford did not have that second plan. They did not defend well. The defending got worse and worse as the game went on. I didn't think Ryan Porteous had very much of a good game today. I do think in defense, Ryan Andrews had a very good championship debut, as I think I pointed out earlier. He was very good, but he got subbed off. And I think fortunes changed. And when Bacuna got subbed off, and I think Bacuna had a good game in midfield, fortunes began to change in that side. And so I think those are critical elements of this game that Watford did not sufficiently address. We've seen this before on the road for Watford. Watford have thrown away leads away from home, and it's really come back to haunt them. We saw the game against Reading earlier in the season. Watford had a 2-0 win at the Madejski Stadium, finished with a 2-2 draw. Watford were just seconds away from winning at Burnley a few weeks ago. They did not get the 3 points there either. And now again today, in a game where Watford were 2 goals to the good at the CBS Arena, could not get the job done. Coventry, to their credit, continued to press, seizing the initiative, and they took the game over. Coventry bossed the rest of this game because they had more desire, more passion, and more of a belief in themselves than the Watford side did. And they justly got their second goal, and they deserved it. 2-2 was the score then. And then late on, Keith Stroud, the referee, got everything wrong in the game. At least at that point he did, in that moment where he said that Coventry didn't get a penalty. Listen, I'm a Watford supporter, and I will always call it as I see it. And Coventry got robbed here of a penalty. There's just no way around it. I don't care who you are watching that game, whether you were at the CBS Arena or whether you're here, as I was in San Francisco, California. There's no way that's not a penalty. There's no way. Hassan Kamara tripped up the Coventry player in the box, simple as. And for the referee, Keith Stroud, not to blow the whistle there and give the pen, that's criminal. Coventry deserved the penalty. They worked hard for it. It was clearly a penalty. It was Stonewall. It's a Stonewall pen. And for that referee to bottle his whistle there and point to the corner flag and say it's a corner, that's ridiculous. That's a penalty not given that could be the difference between Coventry making the playoffs or not making them. Simple as that. So I can say that from a Watford fan perspective, that Coventry City should have got that penalty. Everyone saw it except the referee. And if this was a VAR situation, that would have been overturned and the penalty would have been given. End of. It was the Premier League. And that's why, that's why we need these we need VAR in all these leagues. Now we know that VAR and the people operating it specifically rather can be a mess. They can get this stuff wrong. We've seen it all. We see it a lot in the Premier League where they don't draw the lines properly. But this isn't a case of lines. This is what happened in the penalty box. And for me, Coventry got robbed. They should have had a pen. And I'm not saying they definitely would have scored in that situation because we know Ivan Toney missed a penalty the other day, first one he's missed in his Premier League career. But I am saying that Coventry should have been allowed to have the chance to win that game there, because had they scored there, Watford would have been finished. So we got very lucky today, Watford. We were very fortunate in this game to get the point. And I think it was only one winner in that second half. After the first 5 or so minutes where Watford were grafting and doing well, the first 5-10 minutes, it was all Coventry. Coventry got the goal they deserved to get, a mistake from the goalkeeper against the run of play, albeit, but they continued to push for that equalizer and they wanted it more. What Watford needed to do was employ a plan B. And as I said earlier, because Watford did not have any secondary ideas about how to deal with that game and how to stifle Coventry, they paid the price. And that is why we only got 1 point instead of 3. Do not tell me about mathematics, because yes, Watford may be mathematically alive, but the mathematics that they really need to employ is the mathematics of 1 + 1. 1 good first half, one good second half. 1+1. And if Watford can ever learn to put together one good first half and one good second half in the same game, you might start to talk about wins before you even start to talk about being mathematically alive in the playoffs. Watford now stands 6 points behind the final playoff spot with 5 games to play. There's no chance. I've said it's over. I said it several weeks ago. And it is over. I think the focus now has to be next season. I think the focus now has to be a plan for next season. I think the focus now has to be realistically who's staying and who's not. And I love João Pedro. He scored his 10th goal of the season to lead all scorers at Watford in the men's first team. He scored that goal today. And as much as I would love João Pedro to stay, I think it's better for him that he gets to move on with his career and go to a club that's more settled, more stable, a club that is not as dysfunctional, even as close to as dysfunctional as Watford is, and a club where he can realize his full potential. I think he is best suited at another club at this point. Pains me to have to say that because I really think João Pedro would do wonders for us and is doing wonders for us with everything around him. The young lad has kept his head down, and I think he's been a model example this season. He's battled through injuries, battled through all kinds of distractions, and he's the leading goal scorer. He's been the captain again today. I think he acquitted himself very well. He's a good leader, but the fact of the matter is he deserves better than the mess that is Watford Football Club. This has been the YouOrns 10-minute take.